get that by us.
1212 Radio Culture. Yes, it's that time again. Good day, good afternoon, good morning. Greetings wherever you find yourself on God's beautiful planet Earth. It's time again to come together with erudite minds to think about things that some of us are probably also thinking about, or maybe things that we just need to remind ourselves about. You're live on Radio Culture with me, yours truly. My name is Beloved Anointed. And I am, as usual, with my co-panelists, my co-hosts on right now, Dr. Kudjo Ponwadie, Weero Rastafari, and also the man 7Fireside. If you have been following this program, you know already that this is the core, right? This is a team. Normally, or sometimes, we would have a guest with us, also bringing their perspective. Today, however, we're keeping it in-house. It's just the three of I, and we will be bringing on board what's on our plates, what's on our minds, what have we been thinking about within this time frame, the 1 month time frame that we have not been on air on this particular platform. So with that said, I would like to welcome to the show the Fireside Reasoning Sessions, Dr. Kudjo Ponwadie, Weero and 7Fireside. Nana Mpenyifo. Blessed love. And welcome to the show.
Rastafari. Yes, Nana.
Mm-hmm.
Give thanks, honey.
Every time. Selassie. Weero.
Rastafari.
Selassie. Okay. Yo, Auntie, let's set the ball rolling. What's on your plate today? Seven, maybe South first. Normally, I think we were, yeah. Yeah, we saw in the first.
You guys first, though.
Without creating any controversy whatsoever, let me please ask you to go first.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Monday think quite a bit. Quite a few things, Monday think actually vibing off a reasoning where man have Professor Kudjo Ponwadie, we're talking about certain understandings of culture that need to be, worked through,
Mm-hmm.
So I've been thinking about what culture really means, and what African languages mean, what education means,
Mm-hmm.
how we understand it, and that we need to fine tune our understanding a little bit, and I've been thinking about the concept of money too, how we're looking at it, how we take some things for granted, or should we show some respect to future generations and take some stance, take a firm stance on the concept of money, so they don't have to come and deal with some of the problems that most of the people on the planet are struggling with. So that'd be some things we want to think of around this time,
Mm.
and of course the implications of what Kendrick Lamar new thing about Not Like Us. I think that'd be the title. What it means, in a broader context outside of the hip hop world. What does it mean for the US Black to say you're not like us after you've told us that they are not. The world has sort of told themselves that they are nothing. They don't have anything, right? And then they have to become like other people before they become, real people. And while everybody did sort of like vibe of what did it do. You know what I mean? So those are some of the things that I think I've said in a little messy way, but where would the reason if it come up, we go for elaborate.
We go for expatiate on that. Nice.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Give thanks. Weero, what's on your mind? What's on your plate?
Well, a few things as well. I know some weeks ago the IDEM brought forward the issue of South Africa when it was, the elections were being run over there. But now, are the vibe in terms of now that the elections are over, what does the new government in South Africa mean to South Africans and Africans at large, right? That's number one. Number two, Nana Kwesi, which is 7, had asked me to put together a list.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that. Give thanks for that. Go ahead, man.
True. A list of some topics that we can be talking about. And I'm still thinking through it, right? But it made me also come back to think about Leonard Howell.
Thank you.
And also how he articulated Rastafari. Now, and I think that, there's been a little deviation in some ways from that articulation, because as I go look, or I go, talk down the line, we go feel expand, but that be what those things we have to think about,
Nice. Give thanks. So yeah, as usual, we'll go, put some more substance on that. This is just a structure. We'll put a lot more substance on that when we get into the main discussion. Give thanks for that as well. On my part, I've been thinking.
So, Judge, beloved.
Yes.
Now,
yeah. Oh, you see. All right. I should actually wait for my. That should actually be how it's done. I should after you go, I should just keep quiet and wait until you ushered me in.
No, but you now, Frederick.
Give thanks. Give enough thanks. Give enough thanks. Yes, but on my part, I've been thinking about Kenya a lot and trying to juxtapose that with Ghana, because there are so many different and you see, yeah, there are many similarities to what's going on in those two countries, and then there's also a few differences, But I've been thinking about that in its totality, and I've also been thinking about the upcoming elections in Ghana and the tension that is building up in the country, slowly but gradually, to the point where a certain man of God, quote unquote, hijacked a gospel concert to pray for the country, and the kind of diction that he used, Duncan Williams, was at
yeah, I heard he prayed some prayer, but I didn't know he went to hijack some concert.
Yeah, it was at a concert. I mean, I used hijacked in a not in a derogatory way at all. It was.
I know.
Yeah, but it was at a concert. It was at a gospel concert, and I actually have the audio. If you're interested, I can play it for you. Then maybe when we get into the substance, maybe I can play a portion of it. Not that it's a bit long. So, but
I may ask. Anyway, I'll wait.
No, go through.
The same one who needed to stop depreciating.
Okay, so I get that, and I've been getting that ever since I did a show on it, and that was part of the feedback that I got. There was some pushback concerning his veracity as a man of God or whatever, But
what did this man of God think,
first of all, but then again, I mean, okay, so let's say prophet or whatever, whatever context. But for me, I arrived at the conclusion that is inconsequential to me at this point in the nation's struggle to redeem its image as the gateway to Africa, or however we used to tag it, the bastion of peace and freedom of speech and whatever, all those things that we used to clothe ourselves in, which we dare not even suggest today. So we're in a critical situation where, to me, that takes backseat to the main idea, So my focus then went on the diction that he used when he was praying and cursing, because it was both things going on at the same time, So anyway, I'm just putting it out there. When I'm sure we will put more substance to that as well. But yeah, these are the things that I've been thinking about. Say, what is our country? What state is our country in, to the point where this is the same? And he didn't just pray for CD or dollar, whatever. In actual practical terms, he's one of the people who were seriously backing the National Cathedral project. to the point where he was even like using some kind of words against people who were not supporting that project, only for him to come and eat humble pie a little further down the line. That he backed out when he realized what was going on. He was one of the first people to back out, not only back out, but also issue a statement which kind of signaled that everything was not okay over there, right? $54 million spent in demolishing judges' houses and other infrastructure to dig a big hole and come back and ask for more money to go. Like, that's just absurd. But anyways, he's also the same person who was supporting that nonsense not too long ago, But I'm looking beyond all of that at this point and paying attention to what he is saying. So basically, this is what I'm looking at. So let's.
I wish you could just take it, like start talking about that. I mean, for a change, Wolfie, have you go first, please?
I don't mind. I could, if you want me to.
Yeah, so that you go stay on it small, because you open up quite a few things. So that thing they said the judges out to destroy, we told us what? Buildings in that cathedral thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is a government which has, as part of, okay, so I know a lot of people know this already, but let me just, abridge it, just so we have a clear picture for our, brothers listening from, outside of Ghana who don't probably know what we're even talking about with the National Cathedral thing. A certain man says that he made a promise to God, and that when he becomes president, he is going to build a cathedral for him, for that God of his. So this man becomes president and decides that he's actually going to do that. But instead of using his own money or wherever he's going to source the money from, he's going to use the country's money. And not just that, he's going to build that cathedral in a place which is like prime real estate, right? In the heart of Accra, with like judges' accommodation, which had been renovated, by the way, which had freshly been renovated. Money had been spent in renovating these buildings for high court judges and all of that, tore all of them down, accommodated the judges first in hotels for months, paid high bills for that, and then eventually, according to them, resettled them in different other parts, and of course are paying for that. And then they brought some type of architect who later on was revealed was very connected to them, paid them some colossal amount of money just to design this project, paid from the national kitty, and then halfway through the thing, they came back and said, the money crowd that we said we were, that they took from the national kitty is finished, and they need more money to actually continue doing that. And the absurdity of this whole thing, almost a boba be if Israel. Abba. Shit. Omodi Accra bada dampo.
Yeah.
Right? And the be a replica of Garden B, and then the restaurant of Israel. Like pure stupidity. And certain people involved in this thing, me personally, a woman like Miss Joyce Ayi, a woman I highly respect, I respect this woman a lot. Aya, when you say my final year project for Legon, Joyce Ayi gave me money towards my project.
Wow.
Yes. Joyce Ayi wrote me a check for my final year project in Legon. And yeah, and I always saw her as she was I always saw her as a very accomplished female who was a role model to a lot of females who are coming up. All of a sudden to see, say, and this is where it becomes difficult, but we still have to speak the truth. Yeah, to see Sewakwa involved in that, and she's still there, unlike Duncan Williams, she's still one of the last soldiers defending that fuckery to this day. It will shock you, say, online, you still see requests from these people to the public said they should contribute money to this nonsense. You know, so anyway, that is what I'm saying. And Duncan Williams was part of the people who were defending this nonsense right from the beginning until somebody did a little bit of research, and then the Omuhu said National Cathedral, it was registered in the name of some people be in the United States of America. So it wasn't even like a national asset, as a lot of people were being made led to believe. They traced it to one of these so-called, and Weero, sorry for using that word again, men of God in America. Oh, so it's and then the people who are involved in it, the so-called men of God, we're involved in Ghana. No, there are some devious things that are coming out on them. One of them has two. You're kind of saying birth certificates, 2 national tax IDs, and all of these. Like everything about this is shady as hell. And it's supposed to be something that's built to the glory of God. So, that is the thing with that thing, right? But Duncan Williams was connected with that. And then when he saw that there was some nonsense going on, he pulled out and he wrote some retraction, and all of that. He wrote some statement and all of that. But you know what, Duncan Williams, sorry to say this to you, sir, but in some now catch a amount for when you were there, no, so they were evil because they were, kicking against the National Cathedral and all those things. No, you didn't offer any apologies for that, please. We are waiting for that because me personally, I'm not evil. And I did kick against that. So yeah, anyways. So that'd be the thing with that, let me end there for now, and then maybe we can come back to my other issue if we have some time. But basically, the issue, Crampon, I think, let me go on a little more, please. If you can give me the next 2 minutes or so, please. Okay. Because really, what I was looking at was Empire now or boy, and that circles to the election of last time, 2020, I think it was, right? Because we had an election where, and I say this again, I don't believe for a single day, say the system of governance now here practicing in Ghana is the best for us. Far from it. It's very counterproductive to what we want to achieve as a people. But just for the sake of national cohesion, right? For social sustenance, say, or mine can say, but yet no. At least at complaining, if not for anything else, right? Let's all agree, said the systems that these people have set up, said they are going to follow. No, they all should follow it the way it should be followed, so that nobody is pissed off enough to start any nonsense in the country which is going to affect our children and we ourselves. Because we're still here, by the way, right? And we were here when people came from Liberia in droves. We are not better than them. The people who came from Liberia to the country now, bags, polythene bags, Ghana must go near there. Some of them were big men in Nigeria, so to speak, big in quotes, right? Some of them had businesses, some of them were government people. But then something happened that all of them had to just get up and flee. Now, we are living in a country, Ghana, right, where a group of people, and this is obvious to everybody, have borrowed money, so much money in Ghana's name, it's absurd, and are living a certain lifestyle and are showing a certain level of arrogance. And this money, has been mortgaged to future generations. So, into your man or mobile, we are going to face a situation where their taxes don't go to build roads for them. Their taxes go to China to pay for a loan which somebody is holding in his account today as we speak. That's fucked up. And that's something that we have to deal with. So people like Duncan Williams, after defending these people with their National Cathedral and all that nonsense and praying for dollar and all those things, came to the realization, said, no, something has to be done. And if nothing is done now, these people showed a signal, said the last election, they lost, but they announced 4 different results. Nana, nasa mene ukrampo you decide say ye to spa. Ludu. Whoa. Now you tulu the new year. That's a result now. Nipa was so or nipa we win in beche no. A 4. There is a problem. And then that is backed up by a Supreme Court who used some obsolete law from English law to back some nonsense assertion. Say the woman who was supposed to come and defend those 4 figures should not be made to stand in the box to answer. We're being taken for fools. So it's in the face of all this. Enna Duncan Williams, a call sa concept and no boss empire because if you listen to the diction that he used, apart from
for that prayer inside.
let me play the prayer for you right now. Let me play it right now. 1 second. Let me find it and play it for you right now. 1 second.
I gonna love it. You said what you said, Bob, because you have the thing to say.
Yeah, he said a lot though, but let me just play a little bit of it. I just want you to have a feel of what he said now. All right. Let's go. Let's hear this.
With this kind of atmosphere created by praise and by worship, it will be a sin for us not to pray for country. It's a great error and sin if we gather like this with the kind of presence of God in this atmosphere, if we don't pray for country. 2024 is the greatest year of election in history. There are 60 nations that are holding election this year, including Ghana. We can't afford to take chances because 2024 election is one of the most challenging and difficult election in the history of this nation and the Fourth Republic, because this particular election would test our democracy. But I believe God that our democracy will win this time around.
Let me just all right, let me just end there, for the sake of time.
Please do.
But
Please do.
yes, but at least you get the mood, and then you get at least where the premise for that, for him deciding to do that, right? But if you go on, there are some words that I wrote down because I did a show on it. There are some key words that I wrote down. He uses words like, let's be violent with our prayer. Something must have touched a so-called man of God to come out in public to ask the public, say, let's pray for the elections and let's be violent about it. Right? He harps on the word, on the thing, say, we don't want our children to be desolate in another man's country. He says, he drops holy curses. Like if I should play this thing to you, it's just curse after curse after curse. And then the key word for me that he used in that short one that I even played for you, I'll say, this time around. This time around. Because he's acknowledging, said, there's something that has gone wrong before, which has the potential of going wrong again, because we have an electoral commissioner. They can come out and tell us, say, computers at their office have gone missing.
That's the correct.
Yeah. So 7, you see where this whole thing is headed.
Yeah.
Let me leave it there.
No, but right there, I want me to expand on that computer thing.
Yeah.
And because I think there was also an issue,
Mhm.
and I believe it's the same computers or some kind of different gadgets,
Mhm.
which went somehow missing from the electoral commissioner's office.
Mhm.
And when they were asked to give the serial numbers for those things, they refused to say they will give the serial numbers because they say, for security reasons or something. Meanwhile, the thing was already missing, which means somebody already have the serial number.
Yes. And then they come back and tell us, oh, don't worry about it. It will not affect the elections. Tell us how it will not affect the elections. Because we already have a history of you giving us 4 results and going to the Supreme Court where you were shielded by the Supreme Court. So nobody trusts the EC. This is why Duncan Williams is nervous, because people don't trust the EC. And the
No,
EC
that
is
one
giving, and the EC is giving ample evidence that they are trying to rig the elections. Let me give you another example. Let me give you another example, Aya. The law, the constitution of the land says that everybody who is 18 and above and of sound mind and is willing to vote has to be registered to vote. And that part is basic, but this is where the interest is. And these people it has to be made easy for them to register. It's in the constitution. So if an electoral commissioner comes and then the standard, and every electoral commission that comes, they seek to improve on the processes to make it more transparent, whatever. Now, if we have an electoral commissioner who says, instead of people going to their constituencies, which are in their neighborhoods to vote, to register to vote, now they have to go to the electoral commission offices, which are in the district capitals only.
Just imagine.
You see, it's that kind of madness. So that if somebody lives at, and there are places, the examples were given now, people had to cross regional lines to go register. Because some constituencies cut across. People had to travel like long distances. And it's a pure attempt to disenfranchise people, to disenfranchise the youth who are obviously dissatisfied with this government.
Yeah. I have to say that for me, I don't think I've seen an electoral commission in Ghana where the people have little faith in.
Yes.
As this one before.
Yes. And for good reason.
Ever since African was there for a long time. And then, other people came, Charlotte said them.
Mm-hmm.
But the people actually had some kind of
integrity.
Faith that they were somehow neutral.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That they would do the right thing.
Up to this day, nobody really knows which party Afarijan was sympathetic with. Up to this day, if you do, it will only be a conjecture. Nobody knows if Afarijan was, but this electoral commissioner is seen at NPP events.
Wow.
When they were choosing their flag bearer, she was there on the days with them.
Wow.
So if you are there now, then we should see you on the other parties too. CPP, PPP, NDC, all of them. We should see you there too. Not true?
That force.
Because law nankasana emosi yanjintum no, or say the law doesn't have only to be seen to be applied. It has to be it doesn't only have to be applied. It has to be seen to be applied.
Wow.
This is the same person who was hot mic'd saying, Kabuame, don't mind these NDC people. They are what did he say, sir? So NDC for you. Also they are agents of discord or something. She used some very derogatory words for the whole entire party. What I was also a referee, no. Atani ata and echo wrestling. And yes, bedi fifi. Okay, was ata say. You are predisposed to some
Yeah. They're like,
Afarijan now Afarijan was hauled before the same Supreme Court, was made to stand and testify.
Right.
So that whatever grievance anybody had, Afarijan came and laid his figures bare so that you could cross-check and see what is going on. This one there, the Supreme Court, because there's a certain book called the Black Book, which is UK law. UK law wrote over our constitution, which says that the woman was accountable to the people whose taxes pay her.
And this is the same Jim Manson.
Yes. Electoral Commissioner on Namana soldiers Dinechi Adintra, because she feels threatened. Afarijan never had soldiers bodyguarding him. Charlotte Osei, sorry.
Okay.
Charlotte Osei never had army personnel armed to the teeth following her around. She didn't have an armored car station in front of her house.
Wow.
Let me not take up all the time. But yeah, some issues. Unless you have some other issues where you want me to get on. But yeah.
No. For mean, I think say bringing up some crucial
things where they connect to most of the things where they talk about. Because as you talk, man, start thinking about the South African election.
And you see, say,
doctor, they say, so what does it mean? And then, like the guy they talk, the preacher, the thing they play for us, they use the phrase our democracy. Man, I hear a lot of people, they use that our democracy a lot. But waiting, that thing they mean. What does it really, really mean? And we'll go back to His Majesty. See what His Majesty say about democracy? Sometimes it be just we hear the phrase and then we repeat it. But what is it? What are we modeling it on? How is it relevant to the people? Is there something that exceeds it that we're overlooking? Or just because we hear this catchphrase, democracy, our democracy, it's just a hollow thing, man. You know. But hey, Mango really love to hear it. Because you did a way to speak from a certain perspective where I think say no, what most people go mean by democracy, right? You have something where it is for me to speak to how the people to feel.
Absolutely.
Mango loves to hear Charlie. Only doctor Charlie. You go fit tied into the South Africa thing, please.
True. Now, I think one way we go fit tied in be, the fact that all these systems we try implement on the African continent, but we are trying to implement them in a manner that is more conducive to the European and American landscapes.
Yeah. Now, as you say, we don't get anything else.
Yeah. Now, for South Africa now, it seems the apartheid regime has found a way to craftily come back to the back door.
Yes.
Right.
And we got to ask, how was that possible? And personally, I see an economics thing going on there because you have a government, you have a nation. Now we got to do economics and the money thing again. So, okay, we got to rely on white power, right?
Yeah.
And go through all the hustle, the struggles, and it's like white people have the money, man. So we turn to them. But go ahead, please. Yeah.
Summarize the whole thing. That'd be the whole point because if you check, say, the DA, which is, what they call the white party in South Africa, which is, mostly whites and also get a lot of white support in South Africa. That in order for it to get that kind of percentage where it gets, it means a lot of black people also voted for them.
Definitely. They had a black spokesman in the rounds for them.
Right.
They have black people, quite a few black people there and there, more than
indeed.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, you have, Jacob Zuma with his Mkoto with Sizwe, and you have Jacob Malema with, Julius Malema with EFF. Mm-hmm. The other thing we say, black people felt, okay, you know what? We see Julius Malema, they do their thing, but we see Zuma, former president, but we still feel, say, in order for our economic situation to be better, we have to,
go to
Obroni. So now, Obroni, even before the election, figured the audacity to dictate to the ANC and tell them, which the ANC is the ruling party in South Africa, headed by Cyril Ramaphosa, and tell them, say, when the election happened and there is a potential for a kind of coalition government to be formed, they don't want the pro or the parties that are seen as pro-black, that is EFF and Nkoto Sizwe, to be part of that coalition government. Now, this is even before the election. Yeah. They tell the South Africa, say, okay, now, EFF too having hard stance saying that Cyril Ramaphosa even before he came to the national stage, was already in the pocket of the Oppenheimers. If them, Oppenheimer be a very rich family, one of the richest families in the world, control a lot of minerals, diamonds, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Fund all those parties. So EFF say the level to which Cyril Ramaphosa is in the pocket of the Oppenheimers, they will not be willing in any way to go and form a coalition government with him and his ANC, because he's leading the ANC right now.
Mm.
On the other hand, Jacob Zuma too, because he was jailed by Ramaphosa, has that kind of, I should say, bone to pick. So it to say no. Now, so the whole thing can be say, okay, the DA, which is the white party, give in conditions. If you want me, DA, to be part of a coalition government after the election, then EFF and Nkoto Wesizwe don't go be part of that.
I just want to throw some small in there. I had one of the Nkonto a sister spokesperson for them. They talk say just the day of the election, where should they talk say? They ask them say things say we go want to form the coalition with the ANC. Where sister say no, because their politics of not the jail, because they want to seize the land and things, they want to take the land and give to black people, right? And ANC don't want to hear that. I mean, they have a lot of things where I don't know too much about Nkonto, as deep as they can go, but I know the sentiment where they either break from some of the things where Mandela they try to do that middle ground thing, right. And definitely EFF they go seize it right now. So just imagine you form a coalition with these people where now they say that we for claim the land for African people, we for seize the industries, and then these before they sit there with it, they tell you say no. I mean, how y'all go for have a conversation?
No, and that be the point where Julius Malema they make say there's no way we can sit at the same table, right? But again, as soon as the election happened, where Ramaphosa for form coalition government, he went to the DA. Now, to be fair to him, he called the EFF, and EFF said no. And then as for Nkoto Wesizwe, I don't even think they picked his phone call, but he went to the white party and has formed a coalition government with the white party and some smaller other kind of parties. Now the thing is the Oppenheimers, they control both the white party and the ANC. So if the Oppenheimers want something, which is they want the whole South Africa, then everything is going to play back into the hands of those same Oppenheimers. In other words, even though on the surface it may seem as if the ANC and the DA have different interests, those interests are not really working in favor of black people. It is interests that seem to be more in the direction of entrenching the white people and their businesses and protecting those businesses, whilst at the same time not giving room for growth within the black community to happen simultaneously.
Isn't this a template though, Empire? Isn't this like, is this unique to South Africa?
Thank you. That's what very good, man. Jump love everything. You say the thing. So Emperor they say you go feel link it to you said something earlier, say you think of it like what are the implications for Africa? Right. Like following Job love and question, this is unique. What does it mean? Obviously I see say, what are they here for in question research? I see it'd be like almost like a universal thing in quotes for Africa. Right? Who runs the economy? Yeah, who controls the politics? was the meaning of politics where we would work? Maybe our meaning or be somebody else's meaning where we struggle over, you know.
And me personally, I feel like even within whatever politics you're practicing, it's still possible to let it inure to the benefit of the people. You know.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But we also have to make provision for an out. And I think sometimes we get too caught up in resisting, right? We've been resisting for 600 years on the continent. And it's become a full-time job. We're just resisting. We're not trying to get free. We try to stay in the prison and we say today's a riot. Today we're upset. Make it change the water. Make it give us more food. The food's cold. Now make them warm. You know, make our prison cells nicer. Charlie, this prison bars, they're rust. If I give us silver prison bars where they shine. Basically, that's what we're doing. Yeah, we call it resistance. We can feel good about ourselves all day. You know, but it doesn't show respect to future generations at all.
Wow.
We can also say, look, man, how do we find an out? You know, we have to think of things. You know, all our energy and expertise be around the fact that we can show how we can resist this foolishness. Basically, it's nonsense. You know, but we become so good at investing and resisting. You know, and so this is what we could get, basically. You know, but Brock, would you beg go to extend now? And y'all beloved, if you want to throw something in, like the thing that where you start going with a thing like how they affect us as Africans, or
I was hoping say Weero go throw, like take the discussion in that angle a little bit for us. Like, is it unique to South Africa, or is it just a manifestation of a set template, which is applied everywhere else, plus minus a few tweaks here and there, depending on some cultural differences and stuff like that, demographic differences.
You said it brilliantly,
here
man.
and
You
there.
said it so well, Charlie.
I think, and he's saying that you already answered the question. Absolutely, it's a manifestation of a template which, these so-called former colonial powers, they use to further colonize us. So that template, even though what played out in South Africa may be playing out on the South African landscape, the same template go apply to Ghana, the same template go apply to Kenya, the same template go apply to Uganda, with, like you said, a little tweak here and there. So no, it's not unique. But then I think what is unique to South Africa is the fact that of the African countries, it seems to have been the one that, not really seems, it's the one that very recently just came out of direct colonization, right? It's been only about 30 years since, apartheid was, put aside in South Africa. So by that, the historical memory should be more alive in the minds of South Africans, even more than a place like Ghana. Right? But, again, we played into their hands. So,
and Aya, to buttress what you were saying, you see the xenophobia that's in that country. The same Black people who were locked in arms with them singing in Koto with Sizwe. You remember when we were growing up, GBC was at the time, used to play Asim Bonanga every night.
Yes. Every day. No, but you know what? I think I don't catch you, Rasta. I think for when it comes to the xenophobic thing, well, we should, right? But before we even get there, I think it is also needs to be said that other African countries during the time apartheid was in South Africa was not just playing music on their TV to conscientize their citizenry about what was going on in South Africa, but we're actually sending funds
and forces, training people.
From their countries. His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I the First,
Absolutely.
Selassie.
The first was to give Nelson Mandela a gun, and also gave him papers to be able to leave,
move around.
Yeah, right. And a whole lot of countries contributed monies to ensure that the apartheid government was toppled.
Yep.
So now that the apartheid government is no longer in place, it is a huge irony that the citizens of these countries who sacrificed and contributed to South Africa are now being called Africans, because that's what they call it.
Wow.
They call them Africans and foreigners.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
To be kicked out of there.
Yeah.
Now, it's also fair to say that whilst a segment of the South African population feels that way, it is also not aboard. It's not across the board.
Yes.
Malema,
Right.
no go hear that.
Yes. You will never hear that out of Malema's mouth. No way.
Not go with that. But
No.
you said something, right? Go ahead.
And even with before that, let me just buttress that real quick. Also, with this South African comedian called Trevor Noah, right? Trevor Noah, very famous South African comedian, was on the Daily Show or something like that, and he made a point that really, for me, apologized for all South Africans, because he established that not all of them felt that way, and he said that instead of them going to look for the bigger companies like the De Beers and so on, who are actually mining the wealth of the nation, they are fighting over crumbs, because what people were like, oh, they're taking our jobs and stuff like that. And then when you go and check it out, it's because other Africans were coming and driving taxis and taking up clerical jobs and stuff like that. So if you have a real problem with somebody taking your job or taking your heritage or anything like that, there are people who are still taking your diamonds from the soil on a daily basis. You haven't even touched those, but you're touching your brothers because they're coming to drive taxis, Yeah.
Yeah. But we also need to ask the question, Empire. Yeah. First of all, who benefits, right?
Yep.
And then second, how do we even get a mindset that we will fight over crumbs instead of the main course of the meal? Now, let's not forget that all this point to the white man, the power behind the scenes in Africa and South Africa in particular, who benefits if he is invisible and the South African is fighting over the Nigerian and Mozambican Africans over taxi cab money. Then he is not a target at all. He still employ black people to go miles and miles down the earth to go and mine diamonds and bring to them without no recourse or to any kind of violence against him. So in both instances, as I say, our mindset, again, the mindset has been developed to more so see our brother as the enemy more than the real enemy who is benefiting. All this chaos is what we need to also tackle. And if we don't tackle that, we'll keep repeating the same thing. Where if the economy had for Ghana tomorrow, then Nigeria man will get shop for what we call that place for Kumasi, magazine. Nigeria man will get shop for magazine, become the enemy. Meanwhile, the person will tighten your economy. They give you 10% for your oil, 10% for your lithium.
Yeah, same story. Same story.
Yeah.
Exactly the story.
Anyhow, Selassie.
As they talk about the transition, like the loss of memory thing from, apartheid, the time they fight apartheid with arms and everything. And then we come to the place where, all this stuff happening after independence, right? Man, they think of the politics of Mandela, I want to appreciate Mandela in a way where it be before dear beloved, I come to you I'll be making a huge mistake if I come to you expecting you to be like, you know, Weero, right? Even though our politics are aligned, right? Each person, like you go to, like if you open a book, right, a particular book, or you listen to a particular person, or you listen to a particular artist, right? You go to them for what they bring, right? I just said that we conflate the fact, say Mandela fought in an armed struggle, with the fact of, you know, the meaning of revolution. Like once you fight the armed struggle, you forget it. Mandela's politics was like not like within Mandela's politics. Mandela said the fight is about when Mandela to collect more arms and say no, it's not over. Right? Mandela go into these meetings and say, look, man, you know, we let the white people control the economy because they know how to run it. With people like Chris Hani, them to say, no, you know, we can't do that. After all this fighting, we take the thing from them. You know, we go to manage it. Even if we mismanage it'd be we they run it, right?
But
said, no, you can't do that.
So let me ask you something real quick over there, and hold your thoughts, because I love what you're saying. I want you to continue with that. I just want a little clarity on this though. You think that's completely the way to go? Because I'm studying other examples, like say His Majesty, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Who collaborated with, say, the British, for instance, to develop Ethiopian Airlines. Right? I'm looking at Kwame Nkrumah, who after independence wasn't even the head of state yet for a while, right? Went through a process to. So as Africans, sometimes is it better for us to develop a strategy, or is it better to follow the emotion? Like, because of this, we just want to cut out this aspect of it and just take it over and just run it, and then we'll have a bunch of corrupt people who are black people but think they are the new white people. Also come and take it over and then mash it up.
And the alternative is not setting us making it. His Majesty did not give the economy of Ethiopia to the Europeans and say they know how to run business better, so they can come run it. No, people that report to him.
Yes, of course.
I'll give you a quick story, man. His Majesty was bringing people from all over the world to come work. If you're good at something where we need your help, we go bring you come to the team. So a lot of people are coming in because you know, And there's this guy where they talk about how His Majesty employer make you come work for Ethiopia. So he come where, you know, in mindset, he say if you go someplace, you know, they go orient you, right? They go tell you where they're going and everything, and you know, you go know the job. They go tell you how the people be, how, you know, that kind of thing. Like if they go to US for Ghana, maybe you go US Aid or what do they call US Formation Center, right? You go watch video, read magazines, and books. They give you orient you towards how you. Okay, so this guy, all this while, nobody do nothing. He come in, he goes to Selassie. Selassie show him in job before do. Selassie say, bye-bye, you start work tomorrow, or whatever. So the guy, they will still say, there's nobody to tell me anything. His Majesty no rent him, right? This is like this sense of, you are here to serve our purposes. Your job is this, come and do it. That is it. Don't act like you have any other thing going on. So people go say, he employed all these people, but the program is in His Majesty's hands.
Yes.
Completely.
So that's the difference there. That's right.
It's different than saying, oh yeah, you know, the white people are good at industry, so make them run them. No, we don't run them. You go have whatever experience you have, whatever knowledge you come to serve our project. And as soon as you do wink, even if it doesn't make sense to you, if it doesn't make sense to you, you know. That's how His Majesty deal with people. He go tell you silly, he never give you reasons there. The Majesty would explain a lot of some of these things to people with now before we have a conversation. You know.
I think that the distinction needs to be made clear, right? His Majesty never ever had any qualms in his mind, say the economy, the state, the land of Ethiopia belongs to the people of Ethiopia.
That was it. And in a complete sense.
In fact, His Majesty was, like you said, he's very interested in bringing, quote unquote, people who are experts, quote unquote, in their fields to come to Ethiopia. And every time he brought these so-called experts, he made sure also that they were training
the people. That's the main thing.
Exactly.
That's the main thing.
Which is different than letting them run the thing.
Yep.
Let me run is basically letting them tell you what to do. And I can't be inviting Garamawi sitting down for some boy. You can't tell them what to do. If you run the economy, you get to dictate to what the president of the country for do.
Mm-hmm.
If things don't go your way, they show the president where the power lies because you have the money.
Yeah.
You have the capital.
You can shut the thing down if you want, you know. It's like somebody having your password.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So you know,
go ahead.
You know, finish here.
No, it's okay. I think one mistake we make, we say we do appearances a lot. Yeah. You know, we first start to get into what kind of concepts stay behind the appearances. And sometimes you see there's a huge difference between what His Majesty is working with and a lot of African leaders. Not to say anyone is not worth what they're known for, you know. But it's good to we'll start, you know, what kind of ideas somebody to work with, where the ideas they come from, Seth. I mean, I'll go put it out there, you know, straight. It's not just this orientation, right? Like intellectual orientation, conditioning, right? It had very little to do with what most of the African leaders had to go through in terms of education, right? Most of them had to go to school in England, learn, you know, the meaning of politics through that. That's, you know, Mr. Spicy wasn't tracking that from you small. He was tracking all of that, right? But he's dealing with another knowledge system, a particular way of understanding, right? Mm-hmm. So if some of us go England London School of Economics, and we go to you go to Tuxie, we're well educated, and I'm like, that's all nice and good. But your premise is European. I mean, it's Western cultural discourse. That's what you're dealing with. And no matter how much you dress up in African words and African whatever, you're dressing the European thing in African clothes. His Majesty is operating on another premise of anciency. A whole different level. And I'll give you a little story to what was that. I think it was in 2014 where we host Prince Amias, who's the grandson of His Majesty here in Chicago. Mm. And after we hosted him, we also got some videos that he shared. And, you know, throughout the whole hosting, a lot of issues regarding discussions around the history of Ethiopia came up. Now, there's a guy who is a big guy. I believe he's at the Library of Congress. Yes, Library of Congress. An Ethiopian guy. And he himself, when the history of Ethiopia was laid out before him, he came out to confess. He said, you know what, I have to say that I'm one of the people who His Majesty sent abroad to go and study, and who also came back to, quote unquote, fight for reforms. In other words, fight against His Majesty, right? Now, but if I had known this history, I would never have been involved in that kind of action. Now, what has he said? It. Go ahead. Man. Yeah, it's exactly what he said, right? And I think sometimes we just get into this thing of, and this is very common in Ghana. I mean, you go to Ghana and you sit down and watch the news. This will be GBC, TV3, across the board. Anytime from politician to talk show host to talk show guest, everything that they talk, how did it begin? Even in America. So the point being that sometimes we yearn for what they go on for America or what they go on for United Kingdom without necessarily understanding that things have to be tailored to our specific environment. But it gets tricky though. If your foundation, your intellectual foundation, which let's face it, most of us be on this side of the story, right? No, be your own. Our understanding of education itself was invented by people who didn't know how our interests are high. And it's become invisible, right? It takes a counter force altogether. But that part we skip it. Then we say we're fighting for African, whatever, you know. Like you said, the Ethiopians who rise up against His Majesty, most of them, in their mind, that'll be the first thing they go say, "Oh, white, they can have this. No, they don't have a king in America."
That was the whole point.
We need
whole
a
point. Yeah.
king. You
Yeah.
know, yeah.
That was the
This
whole
is
point.
modern times. We're not feudalists. You know?
Absolutely.
It's just some. These white people, how advanced are they from? Have they moved? Look, right after they do the French Revolution, where they said that they need a king no more, right? They had Napoleon come in and be emperor.
Absolutely.
So they don't know what they talk about. When we hear the phrases, then we jump on it. Oh yeah, even in France, even in England, they know nothing.
But meanwhile, England still has a king.
Say it again. And we sit around, we don't need a king, we don't need a king, we don't need a king. And then you realize, what do you want? You want a president? Well, then that's what you call your democracy. You have it now. And now you're complaining, this guy's corrupt, that guy's corrupt. Yeah. It's why you say there's no difference between all these things. These people just they make up stuff to feel good. It's all tied to the Enlightenment ideas. They just do some things to prove, say what that if one feel good, say they're there. But that's nothing. If we really to respect, what has been passed on to us, and future generations. For people to say, look, we just scrap the slate clean. It's okay to say, Charlie, clean slate. Then the things they do, it will come through. But if we did that, we say, well, yeah, at least I know that this is the meaning of what music is. If I say that, right, it's most likely, that I'm going to just replicate this thing where I learned about music in modern education and just dress in Africanity, which they move us.
That will still be rejected by the white man.
Thank you. They'll tell
you know what I'm saying?
It's not quite it.
No.
I'll be frustrated.
Because you know why?
It's not music. It's their music.
Yeah. And that's why we also have to always center race when we're talking about it, because they always center race.
They'll say you're a racist. I say, okay.
No, I'm that's not what I'm saying. I mean,
I'm cool with that. If you're gonna call me,
what I'm saying? They always center race. And by that, take for instance, these ideas of enlightenment where you mentioned, those same ideas what were being bandied around in early America and France and stuff.
To run the race thing.
Right. The moment when the Haitians say, oh, you know what?
Black power.
we if we apply this enlightenment ideas for here. They say, no, this still don't be for you.
Yeah. You guys are hating.
So, like you say, it's a tricky situation when it comes to bringing things into actualization for I people. However, it is not impossible.
It is not impossible. Right? It is not impossible. These conversations are useful because I hear just what you're saying. Like, it's not impossible. We have to go there and think like
it's like, you have to go to the point of no return for the people to see, say, you've actually gone to that point of no return, so that they to go get a courage to even move towards that point of no return.
And half the time they have that in them. They just don't see enough examples. Yeah, it could be me too, brethren. If I never think of these things. Where they listen to the show right now.
They say they fought against crime because of sardine and shit.
Yeah.
Just imagine.
You know what he said to them though, right? You know the legendary words that he said to them about that? He said, if I know say it be milk where you want, I would have let it flow through taps to your homes. There's this old man who used to live with us back in the day who used to tell me this. He says when Nkrumah was overthrown, he said that if he knew that Ghanaians it's milk and Nkrumah, he would have let it flow through taps to their homes.
Now, make I say something to that right quick, and that's so good to hear and interesting to hear as well. But it is also said that even though this whole thing had been created and there were no sardines and milk on the shelf, that it was a false premise. That those things were actually there. But the bigger problem is that we have acquired a mentality that dictates to us that if you don't get milk and
that is the problem.
That means you have nothing.
That's the problem. Because how does a country that has cows walking on the street have a problem if they don't have corned beef? Just saying. I'm just saying.
Blue and white. I do make.
I am just saying.
If I did a blue and white inside. this thing down small.
The key, the key for the inside. The key.
Because if a Fulani man go milking cow where he can put for the calabash this time, it will be the same as the one we did in Canada.
Nah.
When you put title milk for top.
Nah.
In fact, in Ghana, when you call that way get the can inside, essential commodity.
Yes.
Back in the day, I don't know if they still do it. Back in the day, if you go somebody in living room,
Did they display them for their and sometimes the cans will be empty, you know. They done with the Quaker oats already, but then they cap it back and put it in there.
That status right there. I'm up for the look big time. So if you lose God, Charlie, people not gonna respect you.
No, they call essential commodities. It be the milk, it be the sardine,
the acquired taste. The acquired taste. But let me take this opportunity to tell the item to about this thing. Yesterday, I had an interview with the municipal chief executive of Asin Central, who happens to be my brother as well, you know. Okay. And they launched a project we called Central Rice. Later on, I will send the item some information, you know, on it, make the item check it out and everything. But apparently, with support from South Korea also, who are like master rice growers, because he was talking about how they went to South Korea as part of the empowerment. You know, it's a whole package that the South Korean government gave to Ghana, right? And part of it was they'll bring people from Ghana to South Korea to go study best practices in, you know, growing rice, whatnot, because it's something they've done for years, and they are kind of it's almost like part of them, you know. Right. It's almost like sacred to their existence, so to speak, because they have so many different things that rice is developed into that they use, that if they don't have rice, it's going to affect their existence as a people, so to speak. But anyway, so he was talking about how they went there and all of that, but part of what they are doing is they have set up banks because they know how important rice is to them, no? Just like how important banche, for instance, is to us. Some of us in Difufua, it might cause a national issue, no? You know, they invest in that. So they have banks which actually gives money to farmers to grow rice. As long as you're going to grow rice, you can benefit from those loans. And now these loans are also guaranteed by farmers cooperatives, which you have to belong to, you know. So this kind of forces the farmers themselves to kind of do something for themselves, because you are kind of like that. You can access loans to develop your farm. You can get some of these things. They shouldn't have gone to South Korea to study it. They should have gone right back to what we used to do before. And Nobwa and things like that is part of what we used to do, you know. But anyway, there's this new, and I made sure say Bibisa and say GMO, and he confirmed saying GMO, which excites me a lot. So now there's a project going on where they are growing local rice. Now the good part is that go and look at how much money Ghana spends on importing rice. It's absurd.
Yeah, but Rasta, make a keep in small for them.
Yes, please.
You know, I used to wonder why Ghana imports rice in particular.
Acquired taste. That's why I brought even this issue even up. Acquired taste. Because the rice abounds in Ghana.
Before the acquired taste matter, it be the fact that the politicians have come to understand among themselves, when they come power, then my wives get the whole position of being the ones who import.
Yes, the distribution chain, all that. Yes.
Right. So they import the rice, they import the sugar, they import the canned tomatoes, those kind of things. So it's part of the package. So in other words, what they're doing is that they're importing, they're giving these concessions to their wives to import these kind of things to the detriment.
Yes, of the local industry.
The local rice. Look how long the rice planters for northern upper west have been crying. Say, Charlie, make our things sell for the market up. But they're not able to them, because if your wife imports this thing,
Why would you?
concerned
Yeah,
about
exactly.
women?
But you see, what's pathetic, Weero, be say, why can't they find a way to also benefit from the local industry, like that, because
Because
if you
people want perfumed rice.
and American said that's where the
Perfumed rice,
acquired
like,
taste
they want
comes
the
in,
blue- The ideal milk, they want Horlicks. People want Horlicks.
On the cloud.
Charlie, the other day I go to an African store, they go get some yam. Horlicks, they stand there.
Yeah, for dinner.
He said, Hollis is stand there.
I said, "Quay."
You go to village and taste.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, some video that's making the rounds recently that I also saw, and they say baby food, baby formula, right? They've noticed, say, the baby food in certain places, and they trace this to Nestle. And I'm being careful because, it's a brand and you have to be careful what you say. But I'm saying what I saw in the video. Basically, what it was saying is that Nestle, the formula, the way they formulate infant formula for children in Switzerland, those other kind of places where their headquarters is and stuff like that, it's different. Now they studied the ones in places like Africa, South America, India, those type of places. They had as much as 1 cube of sugar per serving in the baby's food, newborn infant's food.
Wow.
So that explains why we have
acquired that taste.
And first of all, you acquire the taste. Secondly, it explains why people are developing diseases at earlier ages than used to. First of all, things like hypertension was something where if you grow reach some point, then maybe you go get hypertension. Maybe. These days, youngsters, teenagers, because as a baby, you have been eating sugar in your infant formula.
Rasta, to support your point here, just think about it. There are some things that they do also on the African market that they can never dare to do in their home country markets. Let me give you a simple example. As we grew up, that's an oil they got. I don't know if it's still there. They call it fried oil.
Yes.
Now, could you believe that this fried oil is palm oil where we know as palm oil? Where them take out, where they bleach the palm oil out of it. And what will remain be the fried oil.
Yes.
Where they can't still give us. So if you take fried oil, they cook, whatever bleaching agent they use, also they chop up.
You know what's funny? They say they used to rather tout that as a plus. They used to actually say that was a plus because it comes out of palm oil. They used to actually use that to market fried oil. Yeah.
Wow. And someone go proud.
So if it come out of it,
why don't you eat the original?
And that is the question.
Because acquired taste. Because your culinary, you kind of say you're doing that such a way. Say we don't fry with palm oil. If you've noticed, we fry with so-called vegetable or other type of oils. Traditionally, and not traditionally, these days, check this out. You're kind of saying shea butter.
Right.
It's such a rich source of nutrition, readily available. But your condition, even when I was growing up in Kumasi, I was okoto more. Sometimes they question the woman say, "Hey, and you'll be an ebisa no. Go on my ocean. I was studying out to say, wait, you know ebisa, and yeah, Nkuto now. That type of thing, that kind of nonsense. But basically, you're trying to stay away from Nkuto.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If it's not in Kutoa, you don't care what they used. You obey. But as long as it's not in Kuto, there's something wrong there.
Yeah, there is. That's what Malcolm X said. One thing we for study about Babylon, we say, if you're not careful, they will make you love the things you're not supposed to love and despise the things that you're supposed to love.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. But I have a question. I don't want to miss this one, man.
Yes.
Unrelated, so I hope so. If we go fit tie back into the main conversation,
totally.
Sweet.
Totally.
I want to ask you this way, man. Never if we do this. You mentioned Kutu's take on press freedom, right?
Yes.
Can you use that as a jump off point to discuss press freedom? What does it mean?
Okay.
What does press freedom mean to Kwame Nkrumah? What does press freedom mean to His Majesty?
Great. Let's do that. We have like 15 minutes left. So if you like, let's just all of us, have a bit of that time on that subject as we transition out. But if you want me to set it off, I can say,
yeah, please.
If I knew this was going to come up, I would have prepared that audio so that we could all check it out. But Kutu, at some point, and for listeners, when we say Kutu, we're referring to Ignatius Kutu Achampong, former head of state of Ghana, right? And in my estimation, one of the finest leaders the country has had. One of the finest. No question about that. Unim said, just a couple days ago, now that you bring it up, just a few days ago, I was listening to this guy. I forget his name. He's some historian who's been making the rounds these days. Now, our Philip now to say he's very well resourced. I'm saying the dean no. I'm saying no.
I'm not sure.
Yes, Ashanti guy. Yes, or no.
They do some serious work.
Serious.
There's quite a few of them now. True.
Serious.
It's good to have them. You know.
Absolutely.
But he was mentioning, say, when Kutu came back in power, Kutu was okay. So he was comparing Kutu and Afrifa, right? Kutu Achampong benefited from, and this is just like His Majesty and Miriam, what his name is, story, right? Mengistu, because His Majesty sent these people. Nkrumah sent these people out to go study. He sent them to military academies. What his name is, Kutu was one of them. Afrifa was one of them. When they came back, Afrifa rebelled and was part of the machinery that dismantled Nkrumah's government. Kutu, on his part, was one of the people who wanted to bring Nkrumah back once he had power. The first thing he mentioned was that he wanted to have Nkrumah back in Ghana. Even when Nkrumah was dead, he wanted Nkrumah's, you can't say, mortal remains, brought back. He was an ardent disciple of Kwame Nkrumah. So it shows
also a great
Pan-Africanist. Totally, very intelligent person. It's funny, say, if you check Ghana, he's also one of the most mocked heads of state.
And victims of propaganda.
That's what I'm saying. There's something wrong with our system. Ghana, I was saying, we have to purge it. But anyhow, but Kutu's take on press freedom, Kutu stated, say, it's okay for you to do your work as a journalist. It's okay for you to criticize government and everything. But if you are an agent, because don't forget, that tool, the pen that's in the hand of the journalist, can also be corrupted. The fourth estate can be more corrupt than the three other estates if they put their heads to it. So that's what he was warning against. If you're somebody who can be used as an agent of your own country to peddle falsehoods against the government, for instance, right? Or to just be like an agent of discord, then they will have something they won't be very friendly with you. And let me back that up with another leader. Before you come in, let me back that up real quick with another leader, right? And then this time from East Africa, his name is Idi Amin. And he has this thing he said, which is very, very famous these days. He says, freedom of speech is guaranteed, but freedom after speech is not guaranteed. Enough said.
That's the philosopher. Okay, so
enough said.
Okay, so Idi Dada himself. Share.
Can they open? But who can we are? Remember, say, there are some other things that could follow, But I mean, we are not by any stretch of the imagination, especially as a journalist. I'm not saying, people should not be free to speak. But again, let me also say this. Sometimes when you hear the consequence of freedom of speech, let me give this small example. There's this guy called Nicholas Omania Champong, who is a gospel artist in Ghana. On stay in the corner. This guy is going from station to station saying that when former President Mahama comes to power now, he has sworn that he's going to cancel the free SHS. And remember, say somebody can go and vote based on this. Okay.
Oh, and a whole lot of people.
Yes. So be truthful. At least be truthful. Because Muhammad has said, even if Muhammad, yeah, he has said, even if he wanted to do it, he couldn't do it. You know why? Because free SHS is enshrined in the Constitution. Akufo-Addo is only trying to operationalize it. So whichever government follows, the Constitution binds you to keep it running. But this guy, who appears as if he can hardly spell his name, is going from radio station to radio station, freedom of speech, and polluting the atmosphere with lies. Should this be allowed? I'm just saying.
No.
Enough said.
Good.
Make I leave the rest to the item.
Yeah, I just want to throw this one in there real quick. When you say, like Kutu, they talk about, for being an agent, right? So there are people when they be consciously an agent. They know they receive the checks.
Absolutely.
But there'll be way more people where they don't know nobody to talk to them, but they're oriented, their education, their understanding of the world.
Yes.
So make them write something, say something will be highly problematic.
Yes.
Well, Kutu no go Nkrumah no go tolerate that.
No.
Right?
No.
Maybe Nkrumah no be the one way go say maybe go put you in the thing like that, or maybe drag you around or whatever. But he only say, Charlie, get a person off the set, shut them up.
And that is what brought the Preventive Detention Act and stuff like that.
Yeah, because and not all of them were.
Someone's trying to throw a bomb at you. Remember, they had tried several times to bomb him. They had sent someone to shoot him. So if somebody wants to shoot you and you are instead putting them in prison, I think that's even like bringing bringing boxing gloves to a gunfight.
You see, so I think sometimes back to the thing where we hear white people they talk about freedom of speech and democracy and all that. We jump on it. Where they just say the words. But if you they're in charge right now, where are they where they write some things about some things where go create problems for you, where you lock me for some place or you get people to attack me. I don't sit around and say I don't understand why, and you're being ridiculous. Really, I shouldn't. Because it's a serious thing. If somebody or you will say already give you some deadline by which you will finish your program, right? In their democracy, right? They say, hey, it will be. So think about Kwame where you go say president for life because you want to finish the project.
But say he never even said president for life.
What you say?
He never even declared that he was going to be president for life. There was a system.
But the point is that there was no kind of point, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with you. And remember, say Kutu came up with the same thing, Unigov.
And yes, but you see, that is a problem. It goes against how we understand governance. Right? That's one problem people have with majesty too. They feel like saying, they look at you people, they all like shit or whatever. So how you gonna be absolute ruler?
Yeah.
But His Majesty want to make sure that they go according to plan.
But Rasta, why don't we have a problem with chiefs and their children succeeding them ruling over us?
So
but you have a problem with that.
Let's put it simply. It's just be saying we borrow these concepts where we just regurgitate them like be like parrots, and then we kind of like stake our lives on these things, right? And then when something happens, then we upset. I'm not saying that it's okay to anybody for go through any kind of thing, but it's okay too if somebody that's over there where they create problems. If somebody try to run a project, to run a country is not a simple thing, Charlie.
No, it's not.
You see the job, the thing you do. You run a lot of things. It's not easy. That's why it's asking to do this. Somebody did it every time where they put information out there and try to sabotage your project. Where me say to put your life at risk too and all that thing. Charlie, you go bust some moves, man.
Yeah, man. I would do more than PDA, man. I'll do more than Preventive Detention Act if I could.
No, but even sometimes we they make it seem as if I'm gonna put something like PDA be drastic. Let's even look at contemporary times. Look how many Russians America arrest for espionage.
Yes.
And also how many Americans Russians arrest for espionage.
Yeah.
If you decide when they catch you, it's a matter. And if you're a journalist where you have taken money from some government to do their bidding, you're no longer practicing journalism. You're doing something else.
Basically.
Absolutely. And let's also remember that people are funded without their knowing too. That's a great area to try to talk about. Like maybe Reverend are familiar with the fact that the African Writers series, for instance, at one point was funded by the CIA, right?
Really?
Oh yeah, a whole lot of things will happen like post-independence where we think say be our own project, but the writers didn't know. So you can say it like self like you go write in another way or go speak in another, but no. They were very upset when they heard it, and CIA said they don't want to be known. So as soon as the cover blow, they just pull out. They set up some fronts, the Congress for Cultural Freedom, and I know another joint. They had a number of things going, so they just go pass the money through them to fund the thing. We're going to discuss the implications in another conversation. Or you can just go look it up. There's a lot of documents around where you can find, Yeah.
Interesting.
Where it was a major thing. It was a major thing. But we just happy to see African Writers series. African writers are writing, they're telling us. But the things when they were writing about, it was perfect for the CIA. So we have to start asking ourselves, what are we calling our own cultural production?
Real question.
And it doesn't mean that attribute them to sellouts at all. They're not. These guys.
It could also mean that way, right?
But let's start from there, because these guys are, at least, if I don't want to give them credit for that, because most of them were sounding anti-imperialist, anti-colonial, anti-whatever, like I want to respect that. Some of them were straight up anti-capitalist. They blast America. You know what I mean? Some of them, right? If you look at the whole kind of setup, but what did they do to fit into a certain framework where they work for people just because it would be Cold War things? So yeah, they were trying to balance that. No, it's deeper than that. You're getting people, you're framing thinking, right?
Our framing thinking, and they see when we started this conversation, we started by talking about the present mindset of Africans and how that is dictated our condition. And this is all coming out of framed thinking. They are framing thinking for generations to come.
Most people that read African writers were students. In fact, Heinemann's made most of their sales in Africa.
Yeah, Heinemann's, absolutely. Tanzania and stuff.
Yeah, and the GCO level, A level, they're going to make us read those books, go past the test.
But you don't read that one, you don't go past those.
And again, for us, for all that it's worth, instead of reading like say what was those guys? Oh, Tom Sawyer and all these other ones. For us, it was a better option, right? Because now, for me personally, those were some of the books that I read that opened my eyes to other African countries, for instance.
Absolutely. But then what like Brethren they say right now, that is what conditioned us also to look at the world this way.
That's true.
These tendencies.
That's true.
Towards, and if we go clean the slate through some of these reasonings, and come in again, the real thing where it did there for us, it will come through. The thing where they feel like kasa, when we go inside those African Writers series, it will come true. Those things when they go into those pages, they were great because we're a nice alternative to, white man directly,
Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah, but that's not the conversation. It's not like we're answering an idiot's question. An idiot to say, I'm not saying that's what the writers were doing. But if somebody comes to you right now and say, Rastaman, you don't get leg. Well, say you get leg. Then now you go take pen and paper and write essay proof for them, say you get leg. That's basically what we've been doing. For real. Instead of saying,
and then if you talk to that essay, then they go turn around, come blast you. Why?
Thank you. And then go punish you and say, you see, you said you don't know how to write, you don't know how to read, and you don't get leg. If you prove that you get leg. So all of that wouldn't have happened if we were not in conversation with them on that level. His Majesty wasn't answering their questions. You see Majesty in interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a good example. One of his last interviews he gave to Ariana Falassi. He go tell us, that's enough. I don't need to answer this question. I've said enough. But sometimes we want to answer every question these people they pose. These enlightenment questions. You don't have a civilization.
They don't practice them things. So why?
No.
Why? Yeah.
Anyhow,
we have a different way of knowing things, so we must be able to say, look, man, what is this other way? Rather than saying, oh, you would do like this, so I will show you, say I know it very well and I can do it too. Yeah, Chalo, I'm gonna wrap your thing up because I think we crossed the line, right?
No, we actually just about hitting the line. We have about 30 seconds to hit the line. So it kind of is good timing ish, something like that, you know. But yes, give thanks, give enough thanks. Every time we sign out like this, I'm already looking forward to the first Saturday of the next month. And we do apologize. We should have come to you yesterday, but there was a little bit of an issue. Also, the site is still under maintenance right now. So if you go there and you don't see anything, you'll see the maintenance notice. Please bear with us. We are redesigning the site. It's going to come out much more user friendly for everybody. The online TV, the online radio, and then the news print, the news articles, everything are all going to be housed on that same website, www.ghnewsnow.com. In the meantime, though, we're still active on Modern Ghana. So you go to Modern Ghana, you search Radio Culture, and that's where you get us from now until we outdoor the new face of GH News Now. That is Radio Culture, iCulture TV, and ghnewsnow.com. Thank you very much for doing the listening, and thank you very much to my co-panelists and my co-hosts, Dr. Kujo Oponwadie, Weero I, Rastafari, and the man, Carl 7Fireside. Thank you very much, brethren. Till such times. One love every time.
One love.
Yeah, man. Bless. Let's go on the heels of this song. It's called Proxy from 7Fireside.
Unnecessary news in a proxy war. Grudges was the burdens of humanity. Comparison and so competition. To communicate, to be understood, or do we? They sell views. Trading blind spots.